Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Prasanjit Das and you are watching Prasus Medledge series. I hope you all are doing great and have watched my previous videos. If not, what are you waiting for? Go for those after the end of this video. Now without wasting any time further, let's get into today's topic. So guys, today the topic of discussion is gastroesophageal reflux disease. I have already discussed this topic in detail in one of my previous videos. You can check out that video by clicking on the I button. But today the discussion will be comparatively different because today I'm going to teach you this topic with the help of a complete flow diagram. So you had to just go through this flow diagram once before your exam and you are good to go with this topic. So without wasting any time further, let's get started. So, gastroesophageal reflux disease is defined as the complications which occurs because of the reflux of the gastric content into the esophagus and from there into the mouth and oral cavity and then into the lungs. So, gastroesophageal reflux disease leads to reflux esophagitis. Okay, so reflux esophagitis is represented by the red areas which I have marked here. This occurs only when the mucosal defense is not able to counteract with the acid reflux. So, reflux esophagitis is an outcome of gastroesophageal reflux. Now, in case of persisting gastroesophageal reflux, what happens is the lower part of the esophagus, which is normally lined by the squamous epithelium, gets converted into the columnar epithelium. And this is what is called as Barrett's mucosa, which later on is termed as Barrett's esophagus, which is a complication of gastroesophageal reflux disease. Now, coming to the factors which are responsible for preventing gastroesophageal reflux in a normal individual, first is the oblique entry of esophagus into the stomach. As you can see, it leads to formation of an angle between the distal end of the esophagus and the stomach. That is called as angle of His. Okay. Then we have lower esophageal sphincter. Okay, lower esophageal sphincter is the circular smooth muscle which is present at the distal end of the esophagus. It also helps in preventing the gastroesophageal reflux. And then we have the intra-abdominal pressure, which is reinforcing this lower esophageal sphincter tone. So these are the factors which are responsible for preventing gastroesophageal reflux disease in a normal individual. Now, coming to the etiological factors which are responsible for gastroesophageal reflux disease, first is sliding hiatus hernia. As you can see here, that is a part of the stomach goes beyond the diaphragm and enters into the thorax. So now the gastroesophageal junction, okay, that is lying above the diaphragm in the thorax. As a result, this leads to loss of obliquity of the esophagus entry into the stomach, and also since the part of the stomach is now above the diaphragm, so the intra-abdominal pressure which was reinforcing the lower esophageal sphincter tone is also absent. Because of these two factors, it leads to gastroesophageal reflux. Now, coming to the other etiological factors, we have pregnancy, obesity, ascites and weightlifting. All these factors act by the same mechanism only, that is, these factors leads to increase in the intra-abdominal pressure. As a result, there will be increased pressure on the stomach. As a result, this leads to the reflux of the content of the stomach into the esophagus. Then other etiological factors include cigarette smoking and alcohol. And then we have some drugs, includes calcium channel blockers and beta blockers. Then we also have Helicobacter pylori infection. Okay, so Helicobacter pylori infection can either increase the chances of gastroesophageal reflux disease or it can decrease the chances of gastroesophageal reflux disease. Coming to the last two etiological factors, first is large volume meals. Okay, so large volume meals and impaired gastric emptying due to gastric outlet obstruction. As you can see, there is a mass lesion which is obstructing the gastric outlet. Because of this, there is increase in the volume of the gastric content in the stomach, so it increases the chances of gastroesophageal reflux. And finally, the last etiological factor which I would like to mention is vagotomy. Okay, so as you can see here, the vagus nerve which is being supplying the stomach, so if the vagus nerve is being cut, it is what is called as vagotomy, and it is also a etiological factor for gastroesophageal reflux disease. Now, coming to the clinical features of gastroesophageal reflux disease, first is heartburn, which is also known as pyrosis. So it is basically a retrosternal pain which occurs because of the reflux of the gastric content into the esophagus. Then we also have regurgitation of the gastric contents into the oral cavity. Then we have odynophagia, that is painful swallowing. Along with that, we also have dysphagia. Dysphagia means difficulty in swallowing, and because of the aspiration, it also leads to aspiration pneumonia, which is also a complication of gastroesophageal reflux disease. So these were the clinical features. Coming to the alarming symptoms. First is weight loss. Okay, so why weight loss occurs in case of gastroesophageal reflux disease? In case of gastroesophageal reflux disease, the gastric contents are not able to reach the small intestine. As a result, there is no absorption. So because of this, there is no absorption of nutrients. So this will lead to weight loss. Then other two alarming symptoms include gastrointestinal bleeding. It occurs from the area of the reflux esophagitis or from the area of ulcer, which has occurred because of esophagitis. And then we also have nausea and vomiting. Now coming to the complications of gastroesophageal reflux disease, first is esophagitis. Then we have Barrett's esophagus, that is the squamous epithelium getting converted into columnar epithelium. Then we have esophageal cancer. Then we have esophageal ulcer. Then we have esophageal strictures. Along with that, because there is profuse bleeding in case of gastroesophageal reflux disease due to the esophagitis, it leads to iron deficiency anemia, which is also a complication of gastroesophageal reflux disease. And because of recurrent aspiration of the gastric contents into the lung, it leads to aspiration pneumonia, which is also a complication of gastroesophageal reflux disease. Now coming to the investigations which we need to do in case of gastroesophageal reflux disease, first is endoscopy and biopsy. As you can see here, with the help of endoscopy, we can find out esophagitis and we can also look for the strictures, and biopsy helps us to confirm esophagitis and Barrett's esophagus. The next investigation to be done is barium swallow and meal. It helps us to find out sliding hiatus hernia. And the third investigation which we do is ambulatory esophageal pH metry. Okay, so in this basically we will get a decrease in the pH within the esophagus. This is because of the regurgitation of the gastric contents, which is acidic in nature, into the esophagus. So these were the investigations. Now coming to the management of the gastroesophageal reflux disease, so we have basically three measures. First is general measures, then we have the medical management, and we have surgical management. Let's discuss this one by one. First is general measures. In general measures, first is we have to decrease the body weight, that is by doing proper lifestyle modifications. Then we have to stop weightlifting, that is avoid weightlifting. Then we had to take small volume and frequent feeds, because one of the etiological factors was large volume meals. Then we had to stop cigarette smoking, alcohol consumption. So these are the points which comes under general measures. Now coming to the medical management. In medical management, you have to just remember one mnemonic, that is HAM. So S stands for H2 receptor antagonist, A stands for antacid, then M stands for metoclopramide, and P stands for proton pump inhibitors. So these four drugs or the class of drugs can be used for the management of gastroesophageal reflux disease. Now coming to the final modality of treatment, that is surgical management. In surgical management, we have to bring the lower esophageal sphincter back into the abdomen, which has gone into the thorax, and we have to also do a procedure called as fundoplication. As you can see, in fundoplication, we have to wrap the fundus of the stomach around the esophagus, and then we have to suture and keep that in place. So now the esophagus passes through a tunnel which is made up of stomach, and this helps in preventing gastroesophageal reflux disease to a great extent. So that's it, guys. That was about gastroesophageal reflux disease. I hope you liked the video. If you like my content, please do like, share, subscribe, comment, and also press the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. And you can just pause the video right now and take a screenshot of this entire flow diagram, so you don't have to watch this video again and again, and you can directly go through the screenshot. Thank you, guys.